The power of change is on the other side of fear. Everything you've ever wanted is on the other side of fear. Have you ever heard this before? Maybe there's some more colorful ways of saying that I've heard, such as everything that's good is on the other side of an expletive, or let's say crap. As a baby, think about when we wanted a toy and we had to crawl to get it, but either a dog or a stranger was near that toy. Even as a baby, we have to decide if the fear of the dog or the stranger is going to stop us from getting the toy. The decision is innate. We get a little older and we know there's some candy hidden in the kitchen cabinet. We know that if we slide a chair over, we can reach that candy. But if our parent walks in, we're busted. Fear greater than sugar? Desire worth the risk? Is the juice worth the squeeze? The point to all of this is this all starts at a very young age without true conscious thought. Then our fears may change or grow stronger and control us. The fight or flight response, also called hyperarousal or the acute stress response, is a physiological reaction that occurs in response to a perceived harmful event, attack, or threat to survival. The key is it's perceived. Like a fire alarm example. When we hear that fire alarm go off, we're not sure if it's a test or if it's the real thing, but we perceive it to be the real thing and evacuate accordingly. Therefore, there is something that we are born with and it keeps us alive, but when not managed appropriately, it can hold us back if we let the fear take over or make us too cautious. Eleni Macedonis, and I do hope I'm pronouncing her name correctly, she's a motivational blogger and writer. And I just love these next two slides of how she talked about fear. Fear, the biggest killer of all. Everything you've ever wanted is on the other side of fear. The challenge is letting go of it. We fear failure, yet in the same sentence, we fear success. We fear being alone, yet we fear falling in love. We fear change, yet we dislike what is at the present. The list goes on and affects every aspect of our lives: personal, professional, emotional, and even physical. And sometimes we probably don't think about the physical effects. She also went on to say, my message is this: whatever it is you desire in life is right there on the other side of fear. Whether it's personal happiness, professional success, abundance, or love, it is within your reach. Dig down deep within yourself and uncover the origins of your fears. Face them head on and understand them. Once you acknowledge your fears, you destroy the abilities to control your life, and you may just uncover your best life ever. Now, I can really stop right here because she has encapsulated all that I will talk about, but that's a really great overview. And now we'll take a walk a little deeper into each of these. The funny thing about fear is that most people will associate being fearful of doing something because they may fail. But we can have fear of that failure, But we can also have fear of success. And sometimes we need to take a minute and think about which one we are having. So, say for example, I was talking with a gentleman who owned a deli and he was wanting to expand, maybe look at for a new location where he could have more seating for his guests. But he was very fearful of it. What if that new place he couldn't fill and the rent was higher and so he couldn't pay his bills? What if that happened? But at the same time, what was going around in his mind, what if it did go well? What if he could fill all of those seats? How many additional people would he need to hire? What is it going to look like to support that larger business with his inventory orders and everything? So sometimes when we are feeling fear, we have to take a breath and think if it's about failure or if it's about success. These next graphics, there's of course many different ways that you can break down fear. One of these said fear has two meanings: forget everything and run. So there's our flight response, or face everything and rise. So that's fight, right? And the choice can be ours. This next one was told to me when I was looking into purchasing a franchise. And he would ask me, what my fears were, what might be holding me back. And as we had our discussion, he asked me if I've ever heard of the definition of fear. And he used false evidence appearing real. So maybe what we were concerned or worried about or fretting about really was false, but it seemed to be real because we can go back to how is it perceived, right? Let's go a little deeper into this. I really loved the way they laid this out because sometimes we can articulate our fears. However, what we say isn't the true meaning. It's much deeper than that. So, in our reality of fear, you're not really scared of the dark. You're scared of what's in it, right? You're not really afraid of heights, but you're afraid of falling. You're not afraid of people around you, but you are afraid of rejection. You're not afraid to love. You are just afraid of not being loved back. You're not afraid to let go. You are afraid to accept reality. You are not afraid to try again. You're just afraid of getting hurt for the same reason. So whenever we think about we're feeling a fear, we have to see, are we really articulating or pinpointing what that fear is? So when we want to get over our fears, obviously we need to change, right? And change, of course, can be scary. But we all know that it's a whole lot scarier if we stop growing, evolving, and progressing. If we just stay in one place because we are too scared, that's really, really scarier than looking towards change and growing. This next statement I heard of in my corporate career, and I just loved it. I don't remember what presentation it was, but I got it and I loved it. And whenever I was talking with, other friends and coworkers that were contemplating another job, for example, they would do their pros and cons, or that's what I would suggest. Let's get a list out and let's do our pros and cons. And many times they would be giving a lot of, good pros, to the current job. So in this slide here, change is hard because we overestimate the value of what they have and underestimate the value of what they may gain by giving that up. So if we change and we look into this example, if we turn this around, sorry, I shouldn't have said change, but we're overestimating what we have at the present because we know it, right? The devil is in the details that we don't know. So we overestimate our here and now, and we underestimate what it could be like. What's that value? What could we gain by giving that up and changing? Very powerful, I think. You probably recognize this man, Mr. Bill Gates. People always fear change, he says. People feared electricity when it was invented, didn't they? Yes, they feared it, but thank goodness they got over that fear. So we could be using electricity today for this. Most of us live in our comfort zone every day, right? It's a safe little bubble that's warm and cozy and keeps us feeling, really, really safe. But change requires us to step out of that comfort zone to experience something new, something different. Once we do, our comfort zone expands. So we have what's called a new normal, or what constitutes growth. So if you just kind of think about being in that bubble and how big that bubble is around you, you're very comfortable in that bubble. But if we're going to change, then we've got to step forward, right? Take maybe a couple steps forward. And then we will become comfortable with that change. And so that bubble or our circle around us gets bigger. Willpower is the key to success. Successful people strive no matter what they feel by applying their will to overcome apathy, doubt, or fear. The key is willpower. How bad do we want something to push through our fears in order to change? And I'm going to also add in willpower desire. How strong is that desire to change, to be a little uncomfortable for a while? What would you do if you weren't afraid? This is your homework assignment I want you to take away from watching this video. Write down what your fears are and get to the root. Remember that example. You're not afraid of the dark. You're afraid of what might be in it. Then imagine what your life would be like if you were not afraid. Close your eyes and picture this visually in your mind. Okay. Really, really picture this. Okay. In your mind. Maybe, let's take the example of skydiving, which I have never done. But let's say you go through that in your mind. Oh gosh, I would never think about doing that. But what would the steps, what would that look like to you in your mind? And what exactly about that experience makes you feel afraid? Can you pinpoint that? And then what could you do to overcome it? Is there a way to expand your comfort zone? I love this one with the fish. I just had to include it because it's another fave of mine. Don't be afraid to change. You may lose something good, but you may gain something even better. So it's very close, right, to a couple prior slides when I mentioned that. But, here's this fish going to give up its friend, and it's going to go into that bigger jar, pond, bowl, whatever you want to call it, and be better over there and grow bigger and stronger. Fear is temporary. Regret is forever. All of our fears can be temporary, or at least for a point in time until we work through them, right? We can change and work through our fears for success. But if we don't try, if we don't keep trying, the regret will be with us forever. Remember, the power to change is on the other side of fear. Get past your fears and be the best you that you can be. And the parting thought I want to leave with you is don't be afraid of change. We see this person at the typewriter. Some of you are watching this, maybe have never seen a typewriter or a typewriter like this one. But if we did not grow and evolve and change and, come into our computers as of today, we would still be back on that typewriter. And I don't want to age myself, but I haven't had one exactly like that. But I remember what it was like to take typing class in school. I thank you very much for watching this video today. If you'd like to talk about change or fears that you are having in your business, I'd love to have a conversation with you. You can catch me there on my cell or my office number, as well as reaching me by email. Thanks for spending this time with me today. Have a great rest of your day.